Hi, I am Aruni. I'm a tarot reader. I'm here to teach you how to do tarot reading in a simple and straightforward manner. We have been dealing lately with a spread. What we are using is the Morgan Greer pack. For the people that knows, this is the symbol. Only because some people say that the images in the pack are the closer to the original images of the original tarot. We have explained before that once you develop your relationship with your cards, you can actually ask them pretty much anything. Your client shuffles the cards, and that's the moment in which the cards adopt their position and get prepared and ready to answer issues, questions, difficulties or problems. We were looking at this pyramid formation or triangle formation, if you want to, and in a way we're looking at it as past, present, future. Another way of looking at it is that each position where the cards fall represents one area of the life of the client. So we looked at the bottom section, you could say the past or the foundation of the life of the client, and now we're going to look at the next line. This line here, the middle section, represents the self. A lot of the times when we say the self, we don't really refer to the person itself, but a lot of the times it refers to the ego or the identity or the ideals of the person. Sometimes the personality of the person. Then is the partner, if your client happen to have a partner. If not, there will be some messages of different nature. But this is the house of the partnerships. And this, the third card in the middle, it refers to the inner self. Now, there is a difference between the self and the inner self, in that the self sometimes is just what the person put out. In a way, a lot of us, while moving in the world, we have a persona. We show people, I'm happy, I'm successful, or I'm depressed, or I'm poor, I'm rich. But in the inner self is reality. When you're on your own in your bedroom and no one is there and you don't need to act or pretend or show any particular image to anybody, what is it that you think about? What is it that you want? What is it that make you happy or not? So that shows here in the inner self. So I begin with the area of the self. We have already seen that this client started with the sun. So we said that when the sun is the first card on a reading, means success in the life of this person, because the card sun represents success. But if it appears as the first card, success in the life of the client in relationship to a moving home. So okay, so the client may be thinking about moving, and his progress is the card Empress, and before he didn't think about it because the Ten of Rods represents responsibility. It was difficult, there was too many responsibilities on the client, but now the client is considering, and the relationship is going very well, and the angel is there protecting and providing security. So let's go back to the client itself at present. So we open the house of the self and we look at the major arcana. The major arcana has the card the world. The world is a card that represents achievements, the achievements of all the ambitions and desires of the person. If the person, we have seen in the beginning that maybe this was referring to a change of home. So if the person had a desire to have a particular type of home in a particular type of place, within a particular range or in certain form, shape, now it may be the beginning of it, because this is the world is a card that, it's not a fast card, it's a slow card, but it's a card that talks about the fulfillment of what you want, yeah, the achievement of your desires. We look at the minor arcana, and the minor arcana is the Eight of Rods. Now the Eight of Rods is a card that the message of this card is communication. Now the way I like to look at this card, because it's all these sticks, right? It's all these rods. The way I like to look at this card is that each one of these sticks represent a different kind or a different path or a different channel of communication, which means this card is saying, oh, you need to, or you have communication of different kinds. Sometimes people only have one means to communicate, and when that means doesn't work, they're blocked, they cannot understand each other. This card doesn't say that. This card says, oh, there are many means for communication. We can understand each other in very many levels. So when we go to the self, we see that, oh, you're going to achieve the things you want. So what is it that you want? Well, communication is involved. So maybe you got something to communicate. And if you do, now is the time to do it, because you will achieve what you want. What is it you want to communicate? How are you going to communicate? Well, now the media is exploding. You have all the internet and the Facebook and all these new application, the apps, and the world is your oyster, they say. So, okay, maybe this is the right time for you to communicate what you want to do, or make that as a career for yourself. Now we look at the house of the partner. We were saying that the cards give us symbols, but we don't know the content of these symbols. So for instance, I'm looking at the house of the partner. If you have a client in front of you, you can ask him, once you have dealt with this, do you have a partner? Because your client may not have. Maybe they are actually looking, or maybe they have had one, but now it's not there. So it is important that you communicate with your client, not necessarily to inquire from him, because sometimes people take that as, oh, you are asking me, so you don't know, you may not be a very good reader, but actually to confirm what you're looking at. And it's important to understand the message of your card. So let's look at the cards now. And the major arcana says the Lovers. We have looked at this card before, and I said to you, be careful, because the Lovers represent attraction. But attraction to what? You don't know. It could be man and woman, because that's one of the strongest attraction in the world, but it doesn't have to be necessarily. It could be something else. Now, think about it. We are in the area of partners, and an attraction and a man and woman embrace appear. So it's very likely that he's actually talking about an attraction of that, a marital relationship, or a relationship which is of emotional nature. In that case, we look at it, we know it's an attraction. Let's have a look at the minor arcana. See what the minor arcana tell us. The minor arcana is the Seven of Rods. What is the Seven of Rods? The message is, this is a message of success over competition. How do we see this card? You see that the person is actually fighting with a lot of other sticks, but his stick is the biggest one. So he's defeating every obstacle. That's the way in which you see this card. The moment this card appears, you know, okay, it's not that there's no obstacles. They are there. The obstacles are there, but the client is capable of defeating them all. So now, who are we talking about? We're talking about the partner of the client that came, because this is the house of partnership. We're talking about maybe their partnership. So this partnership can defeat any obstacle because there is an attraction between them. We already saw that this relationship is blessed, because an angel came out when we said, let's look at the house of emotions. And there was an angel that provides what? Security. Okay, there's an angel that provides security, and now we go to the partnership, and we see that there is an attraction between these two, and we see that because of that love, that attraction, they can defeat any obstacle, they can achieve any objective. Very important. And now we go to the inner self. Let's have a look. What is in the deep recesses of this person's life? And we look at the major arcana, and the major arcana is the Magician. What is the Magician? The Magician represents the self. Now, how uncanny that this position is the inner self, and the card that appears is the self. So this is self. Means what? Means the person is fixed in what they want, in what they want to accomplish, and they are willing to do it. And now is the time, because everything is pointing in that direction. What's the minor arcana? The minor arcana is the Six of Rods. What is the Six of Rods? The Six of Rods represents triumph, represents success. It's not that different from this one, but this one is success over competition. This one is success. It's like a person that comes back from a battle, garlanded the weapon, so it's been successful. So now, whatever it is that is in the inner self, whatever it is that the inner desires of this person are, whether the person say or not, those inner desires now can be fulfilled. And that's very important, because the client comes to you and say, well, I don't know what I want to do. I got some ideas. And so then you say, okay, your projects can work. Okay, tell me about your projects. For instance, that could be, okay, now you enlarge the reading and help the client to see what each option is going to be like, so that the client can make the decision. And so we have dealt with the middle section of our pyramid, and we stop here. If you like what you've seen, please give us a thumbs up, share it with others, and of course, subscribe. This is Tarot by Irony. Thanks.